Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel, I hope you're all doing well. Yesterday we spoke about the possible last year of Massimiliano Allegri and immediately the replacement that according to some sources is already a done deal, Antonio Conte. And that was a video that a lot of you watched, a lot of you were also commenting with their preferences. Was it correct that Massimiliano Allegri would leave? Was it correct and the right choice that Antonio Conte would possibly come back? And I loved reading all your comments. It's something that I really love and appreciate to do. Why? Because sometimes I'm saying things and I don't realize them. Sometimes I'm wrong, so you are correcting me. Sometimes I also feel a bit the opinion of the Juventini, but it's funny to read. Not only the ones of the video himself, but sometimes I also go in the past when I want to know how the opinions of some Juventini are changing. So ragazzi, stay with me on the channel because it will be a funny video. I even found back a comment from 3 years ago. Maximum of comments, maximum of likes. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel because now we start with Massimiliano Allegri, with Antonio Conte. Because if we spoke about the sources, what is Juventus saying? Well, Calvo yesterday spoke at an event and he said Allegri è il miglior allenatore che la Juventus possa avere in questo momento. Massimiliano Allegri is the best coach that Juventus can have in this moment. What does that mean? What are the words of Francesco Calvo really meaning when he spoke to Sport Industry Talk? Well, everything and nothing. Because yes, I agree 100%, and I told you many times, I believe that Max Allegri is the best coach that we could have in that particular moment. You remember the chaos of last year. Max Allegri is a guy, you like him or you don't like him, that at the end, when you give him a minimal objective, is always able to reach it, which he did last year on the field, and actually this year, and we are early in the season, but he's overperforming in terms of ranking, in terms of points. Then can we speak about his game, his way of playing? We can say whatever we want, but the facts are facts. And at the moment when Juventus was looking for stability, Max Allegri was able to give it. But when Francesco Calvo is telling you, in questo momento, in this moment, what does that mean? Does it mean that he's speaking also about 24-25, which would be potentially the last contract year of Max Allegri, or is he really speaking about now, today, until this end of the season? That's something that we don't know and that we will discover at the end of this season. If a lot of people yesterday, sources said it is already a done deal, Antonio Conte will be the coach of Juve. Well, there are today other sources that are revealing other opinions, other possible solutions, because they are saying it's true. Antonio Conte would do everything to come back to Juve. Everyone knows it. It's the world of football. It's not even a secret anymore. And if it was for Antonio, he would already have been there today in La Continassa. But today, it's quite difficult to see Antonio back at Juventus with the Bianconeri that are not even considering him the first choice. On the other side, they are continuing to check, to monitor, to follow two other coaches. The first one is Thiago Motta from Bologna. The other one is Raffaele Palladino from Monza. Speaking about Raffaele, it's a coach that we will be able to follow closely on Friday because we are playing on Friday against the Monza of Palladino that we were never able to beat in Serie A, that we were not even able to score a single goal against them. So hopefully we'll not do that much. Hopefully we'll not impress the management of the Bianconeri too much on Friday because we have to win. Now, I don't want to speak too much about Raffaele Palladino. I want to go back on one guy, about Thiago Motta. Because if yesterday I told you that whoever will coach Juventus, Max Allegri, Antonio Conte, whoever, even I said Mourinho, a coach that I particularly don't like, I said I support Juventus over the men and I don't care. I will support whoever will sit on the bench of Juve. It's true that as a person, as a content creator, of course I have my own opinions. And I always told you, and I'm consequent with my choices, I always told you months ago that my number one choice, of course with a limited budget, we are not speaking about Klopp, we are not speaking about Guardiola, but would have been Thiago Motta from the emerging coaches. And I remember at the end of May last year I made a video, with a kind of battle, the battle of the coaches with Spalletti, Tudor, Vincenzo Italiano, and Thiago Motta. Why not Paladino? Because if I'm not wrong, he just renewed with Monza and I took him out of the list. I was not even speaking about Antonio Conte at that time. So I eliminated all the coaches because in the final it was a battle between Tudor and Thiago Motta, where I said my favorite choice is Thiago Motta. Why did I make that video? Because a few days earlier, mid-May, I was doing a live and we were speaking about all the possibilities. And when I said that my choice would have been Thiago Motta, I remember that people went totally mad, crazy. Croissant, no, he is an ex-Inter, Don Thiago Motta, what are you speaking about, Beppe? There was he is an Interista, what are you talking about? Are you mad? With Chef that was saying, I don't feel it's a good match for the Juve DNA, I will never take him from Ab. Ryan Motta is an ex-convict, Premier, Motta, big no, and so on and so on. I didn't even was able to put all the screenshots there, but a lot of people were against Motta. They were saying, Beppe, what are you talking about? And that's why, I went back to the very first time that someone mentioned Thiago Motta on the channel. It was a video of 3 years ago. We were speaking about Pirlo, we speak about Thiago Motta in that particular video of 3 years ago, where someone, Kumar, was saying, Beppe, Pirlo scored 107 points out of 110 in the exam, and he was second because the first one was Thiago Motta in that exam to become a coach with 108 points out of 110, where Deepak, he was actually mocking him a bit because he said, sorry to say, but Thiago Motta got sacked from his first job within 6 months. Maybe he's just the best student and not a good coach. 3 years ago. And what is ringing in my head is the fact that sometimes we need all to be patient, because sometimes patience is rewarding convictions, beliefs. Not always, but sometimes yes. And I see Antonio Inguaiato that today was or yesterday in the video was writing, Beppe, you know what? I'm starting to agree with you about Thiago Motta. He's going to have a lot of clubs wanting to get him. He's a very interesting coach for next year. Some days I would rather see him than Conte returning to Juve. You see, patience, guys. Even sometimes you have to wait 3 years. But when I say something, I'm not always going with harsh, big beliefs. But sometimes, patience is rewarding conviction. When I was seeing Thiago Motta more than 6 months ago for the first time, I remember that people were talking about me that I was totally crazy. And now that he's fifth in Serie A with Bologna, he's doing wonders, he's doing miracles. A lot of people are starting to say, you know what, Thiago Motta is not that bad. Does that mean that he will be the coach of Juve next year? We don't know. First of all, we have absolutely no idea if Max Allegri will leave or not. But pay attention to Thiago Motta that is doing fantastically well. And today, I want to link as well a name that is on the first page of Tuttosport with Thiago Motta. Because on Tuttosport, Juve Ferguson contatto. What does that mean? There is a contact for Ferguson, the player, Lewis Ferguson from Bologna, that attacking midfielder already scored 3 times this season in Serie A with 3 assists as well. Costs and quality. Ferguson is increasing in that battle of the midfield. Of course, we were speaking about Thuram. We were speaking about so many different midfielders. Ryan Phillips. We're speaking about Højbjerg, about De Paul, about so many players in the midfield. But there was a name that we already mentioned in the past, and it is the name of Ferguson that is doing extremely well, also because he has a lower cost. What is the problem with him? Bologna is doing that great with Thiago Motta that they would love to keep him until the last part of the season or until the end of the season because they want to target a spot in Europe, Confederation, UEFA, or who knows, maybe the dream Champions League, which is a bit difficult. Let's not exaggerate. But they want to keep their man like Zirkzee that also is doing fantastically well. So it will be quite tough in January. You never know. But Juventus is interested. Is it now for January with Max Allegri? Is he already a player for next year with Thiago Motta? I don't know. Then on that first page, you also see the other faces, the one of Sancho, the one of Berardi, with Sancho, that is a real target of Juve, or the voices, the rumors, the papers are really insisting on that player day in, day out, day in, day out, not only from Italy, but also from England, also from Germany, with Juventus that is waiting for Sancho. Why and what are they waiting for? First of all, that Manchester United agrees for a loan of 6 months with a possibility to buy. Secondly, that they are also paying a part of his salary, because at the moment it's too much. Why are we speaking about Berardi? Why are we speaking about Sancho? That are players that are playing in that 4-3-3, kind of 4-3-3. Well, because I don't know if you noticed or not, for all the people that are asking, can we possibly play with 4 men? Because we are always playing with a 3-5-2, and there is, looks like, in 2023, only a 4-3-3 that is able to give us trophies. I don't know if you noticed, in the boring game against Inter in the Derby d'Italia, but for long we played a 4-3-3. Something that I mentioned on Monday morning in my tactical video. I told you that a lot of time McKennie and Cambiaso were inverting, with even McKennie being the one that was the most offensive. Well, how did they play in parts of the game? With Kostic nearly a left back, Gatti going on the right side, becoming a right back, with Rugani and Bremer in the middle. Cambiaso went as a mezzala on the right, and you know that Allegri and even Spalletti are starting to insist to see him more and more as a midfielder, and McKennie was the one that was going more and more offensively on the field. Not that much, because at the end, it's not that we created that many chances, but in certain movements we had that 4-3-3. Is Juventus looking for alternative solutions with a Sancho, with a Berardi? We were speaking about Sule, even if he will remain at Frosinone. But these kind of names starts to make sense if Juve is really going towards that 4-3-3 in a certain moment of the season. So with Kostic there, who knows, with Gatti transformed, or even with the return of Danilo, because Danilo, we know it, his original position is right back. Ragazzi, attenzione to that tactical transformation. It's not over, because now we have to speak about changes, not only in the technical staff, with a possible change of Allegri, with Conte if you want to, or Thiago Motta, or Paladino, or even Allegri staying. There is a bomba that yesterday Luca Monblano revealed on Juventus, and I know some people believe the Mercato news from Luca, some people don't believe, but let's put that aside. Let's go towards the new, because it had been reported also by other people. John Elkann is close to rework the sporting structure of Juve. He already started with Giuntoli. You know that Giuntoli is also looking for people working under him, but it's not over, because in that board members that we have today, it was and it is a real administrative one, with lawyers, with accountants, with all the people that are looking for finance, etc., etc. But we miss someone that is really representing Juve, or at least the sporting side, a real figure. And of course, we are all thinking first about Alessandro Del Piero. Some people are thinking about Chiellini, you know, like a bit the Nedved was in the past, a bit, you know, the one of experience that reincarnate the DNA of Juve, that is the story of Juve. Well, no, instead of these names, apparently John Elkann could think about, or he could already have chosen, Michel Platini. Michel Platini back at Juventus. I tell you immediately, Michel Platini, I love him. Probably the strongest ever player that Juventus had. We are all too young, including myself, to have seen and followed every single day Michel Platini, but I can guarantee that he was a fantastic player. Fantastic player, but on top of that, a fantastic manager, a great manager, someone with experience, someone that doesn't have the tongue in his mouth. He can speak, he can attack, he knows what he's doing. And you know, when I always told you I love ex-players, and I believe that ex-player can find a spot in a management, but pay attention, because being romantic and loving to see them back at Juve management is great in the romantic story. On the other side, they need also some experience. It's not because you were a fantastic player that you are a fantastic manager. These are two total different jobs. On the other side, Michel Platini is one that has already proven it. So Ilario from Radio, the one that said that Conte would come back, yesterday, he came back with a new structure for the future of Juve, with Platini being the president, with Ferrero after fulfilling his job of defending Juve off the field, Platini would be the president of Juve, with sporting director of chief of football Giuntoli, that is already there, general director Giorgio Chiellini, with the coach Antonio Conte. A real sporting pyramid for Juventus. I tell you about Platini, 60 years old, great. The only problem, of course, with Platini would be that he was ex-president of UEFA, not really liked in UEFA, and if Juventus is looking in a way to get closer to UEFA, to again making that plea deal, agreeing to be out of the competition because they needed to be there, would be, a bit in contrast having someone that has been dismissed, fired from UEFA, being the president of Juve, because that's not really the way of getting closer to UEFA. But attenzione, you know it, on the 21st of December, there will be the judgment in Brussels, in Europe, in the European Parliament, about the non-competition fight between UEFA Monopol and Super League. And if there is a green light, if there is a Super League, Platini could be the man to lead Juve. I don't know. Let's follow it. Let's monitor it. I don't know. What do you think about Platini being the president of Juve? Yes? No? Let me know in the comments, and then I will finish with another one. If it doesn't happen, if on the 21st of December there is no possibility that Super League will ever be born, well, attenzione, because we have to play Champions League. We have to do everything to play Champions League, but on top of that, also qualifying to that new format, the FIFA World Cup for a club, that will be played at the end of next season, so at the end of in the middle of 2025, June, July, in USA. Well, good news, because if yesterday I told you, if you are looking for a reason to not support the other Italian teams, it's because Milan and Napoli could potentially, if they continue to win and accumulate points in Europe, they could even overtake Juventus in that special ranking. Yesterday, Milan lost, and we saw it on Corriere dello Sport with Giroud after missing that penalty, and a few minutes later, it was Dortmund scoring that penalty. Gazzetta dello Sport, Milan a pezzi, Milan in pieces, totally destroyed. Well, it's a good news. Why? Because Juventus, they keep their point, because we can't win any of them. We are not participating, but neither Milan. And Milan, being at the moment fourth of their group, can be even eliminated totally from that from any European competition, losing the possibility to even gain more points in the second round. I think it's an extremely good news for all the Juventini that wants to be there in USA in 2025. Financially, brand, image would be totally fantastic. Ragazzi, that was it for me for the video. Let me know your comments about Palladino, Conte, Thiago Motta. Grazie, forza, Juve.